Tsukihime English is real! We won! Gamers, we're won! It's not copium! It's real! Tsukihime English is real! And yeah, I would love to share with people so that it can keep living. These memories can keep going forever. So I don't know. Greetings to all Gaos, both Zetsu and Nyan. Welcome to the Briar Patch. You're just in time for tea, but I don't have any tea today. I'm actually drinking a sports drink. Is that what they're called? I'm drinking a sports drink called Aquarius because it is 72 degrees Fahrenheit or about 25 degrees Celsius in my apartment. It is 73% humidity and I don't have an AC. So, as you can see, it is quite painful right now to drink anything that's hot. But you should all have your own drink. So if you don't have something to drink or eat, please feel free to pause and come back with whatever suits your palate. With that said, how are you doing today? I'm doing great because Tsukihime English is real! I've been holding it in for so long. I had to do my intro and I had to talk about myself and I had to follow decorum and not be an absolute maniac at the beginning of the video. But Tsukihime English is real! We won! Gamers, we're won! It's not copium! It's real! Tsukihime English is real! It's just gonna be 15 minutes of me yelling Tsukihime English is real. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Type Moon visual novel Tsukihime, the remake, is going to come out in English! Part 1, at least, but, you know, doesn't mean that part 2 won't. Yes, part 1 is announced to come out in English in 2024. It was announced at Anime Expo. What? 2 days ago? The English trailer is not online yet. So you know, Aniplex, you gotta get on that right now. I am not kidding around. I'm sick of looking at a low quality Twitter video or Twitter picture or whatever. I am rate limited from looking up Tsukihime information. Well, we won't discuss the nightmare on Twitter. I actually haven't gotten rate limited, which I hope that says something good about myself. Anyways, the point is Tsukihime is coming out in English. Oh my god, that is so crazy. So I want to talk a little bit about Tsukihime and why it's such a big deal that it's coming out in English and why people are so excited, including myself, and why I will never shut up about Tsukihime and I wanted it in English and I kept praying and I kept talking about what could possibly be happening over at Type Moon and whoever is bringing it over at Aniplex. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about it. So this episode is mostly going to be Tsukihime related, and then I'll talk about a couple other announcements that they had at AX and other things I'm curious about. But yeah, so Tsukihime Remake. If there is ever a AAA visual novel, I think you could do way worse than Tsukihime Remake. Tsukihime Remake, I think, is the main example of like a AAA visual novel. The production value is off the charts. They have animated sprites. How do I say this? When I say animated sprites, I don't mean live 2D or anything like that. It's so hard to explain, but they use so many expressions and poses for the sprites. The CGs are they add a lot of movement to them, not in like the live 2D style you see mobile games using, like Princess Connect or something like that. it's difficult to explain, but they are very high quality. The art is gorgeous, and you have so much gorgeous Takeuchi art. Writing a stellar sound design. Oh, just to be clear, I will not be giving spoilers for Tsukihime, of course. I'll be talking about details that are like gameplay related or experience related, but I won't give any spoilers beyond like what is already publicly known, like the blurb and things like that, or like the trailers. But yeah, so the sound design in Tsukihime is so good. In the very beginning of the game, you are in a hospital. This is the very, very beginning of the game, and in the blurb, I think they mention it, that Shiki was in an accident, the protagonist, but you're in the hospital, and the sound design for like the hospital and like what it feels to be in a hospital is so good. And that quality just continues on throughout the visual novel. And again, visuals, great. Sound design, great. Writing, oh, man. If you don't know, so Nasu's writing in Japanese, you may have heard like a lot of people saying that Nasu's writing is very complicated. I personally believe that Nasu excels at writing interesting world building that might be complicated, but he is very simple but so effective when it comes to emotions. So if a character is feeling sad, it feels so relatable, and there is not a lot of prose, I feel. Of course, he uses prose effectively, but I think he gets the emotions across in very simple language in a way that's very impactful. So yeah, the writing is great. Of course, the world building is great. It is such a high quality visual novel, and I am so happy that we get to experience it in English. So many people are gonna be able to experience it in English, and the fact that Tsukihime is so impactful, the original visual novel is so impactful to like anime media that we know today. I feel like so many major key players in like the current industry, especially if they have like indie or doujin roots, is inspired by the original Tsukihime or Type Moon in some way. Even if not like Tsukihime itself, they might be inspired by things that were inspired by Tsukihime, or something that Type Moon made later that what came out of what they learned about Tsukihime while making Tsukihime. Like, did you know Urobochi, Gen Urobochi, the guy that wrote Saya no Uta and who wrote Madoka Magica? That guy, he's a big Tsukihime fan. I'm pretty sure there's an interview of him and Nasu from like 2001, and original Tsukihime came out in the year 2000, and they also played D&D together. They're Nasu and Nasu and like a bunch of other creators had like a D&D game that got like serialized into a novel. But yeah, Urobochi very close with Nasu. Yukishi, the creator of Higurashi and the masterpiece that is Umineko, my favorite visual novel of all time. He also is writing the next Silent Hill. He was inspired to actually work and start working on and publish Higurashi after playing Tsukihime and seeing how well it was doing in the doujin market. So there's just so many big names from like that late 90s, early 2000s doujin era who were pushed to success, who were pushed by the success of Tsukihime in some way. And of course, it's not the only influential work ever, but it is such a key player in the industry that I am so happy that we that we over in the West, anime fans in the West, get to experience that ourselves. And it's just, I think it's important to see what people's inspirations are so that you can better understand like their mindset when they're making games. And personally, I always love reading what authors are inspired by, or seeing kind of like the DNA of all these different works in that author's works. It is very, very interesting to me. Honestly, the original Tsukihime English fan translation was also kind of influential in the English fan translation community. So kind of like very early internet anime communities who were translating stuff. Because if you don't know, the original Tsukihime is made in Nscripter, which was a very simple to use visual novel engine from the early 2000s. And actually, I don't remember when it came out. It might have come out a little bit earlier than the 2000s, but I mean, it definitely did. Anyways, it was a like easy to use engine, and there was a free source. That's not the word. Open source version of that engine called Onscripter, which was made by Ogapi. And so when Onscripter was made in like what, the year 2002, when that was like released and made, it became possible for the English translation, like fan translation community, to attempt to translate these visual novels, right? And they started working on it, but it wasn't really until the team that was working and later published the Tsukihime English fan translation, Mirror Moon, it wasn't until they started working on their translation that they actually got English text working consistently, and they managed to patch the original Onscripter with like whatever they needed to make English text work on it, which I don't know if I need to explain, but of course it opened up the possibilities for so many fan translations and so many games to kind of get their day in the sun in the Western community. And I think that's such a big deal, because it was really the first time so many people were exposed to all these anime games that really were inspiring so much of like the actual visual animated anime that they had easier access to. And also they also had like they also had access to the adaptations of these visual novels, but they didn't have access to the source material. And for example, the Tsukihime anime is famously very bad. And if you had only watched the Tsukihime anime, of course you would be like, this is terrible. But then once this fan translation could actually happen and actually started getting progress made on it, thanks to like all of these advancements that the Mirror Moon made, you know, people could be like, well, the source material is way better, you can read it. And then people read it after it came out, and I think like it really helped popularize Type Moon and all of these visual novel things in the West. Like even back in the day, so I was around for a lot of this, and you know, people didn't know what visual novels were, but they knew that Fate Stay Night was a visual novel. They were like, it's like a book on your computer and you make choices. It's like a pick your own adventure book, and it's super awesome, and I love Saber. And you know, people will watch the Fate Stay Night anime and they go online and be like, oh, what is the Fate Stay Night anime? And then they see it's based on a visual novel, and they play a visual novel, and then they get into like more anime any stories, franchises, anything, right? So yeah, Tsukihime, I think, is also influential over here in the West, like its fan translation and like the community that sprung around that. And Miramoon also translated, or did the English fan translation for Fate Stay Night as well. And that was super influential, I think. So it's just crazy to me. The fact that all this time we've been working in like this fan in these fan communities, and that was the only way to experience these games, and the community really built up these games and made them have a place in people's minds over here in the West. And now we finally get the original material in English in an official capacity. We get support. We receive the Holy Scripture. So it's just so crazy to me. I am so happy. I really wanted to talk about why I was so happy that this was getting a translation, because I feel like, you know, you just see people yelling like, oh my god, so excited, and you might not really understand, and you might just think like it's hype, or you know, you just don't know, right? You don't know, so you don't really think anything about it, but it's really fun to learn about it, and I think it might even get you excited if you know why it's kind of like a really big deal that it's coming out in English officially. And what's also crazy, so I talked in one of the older podcast episodes about like all these visual novel releases that are happening without like a lot of promotion, but I'm not gonna talk about that part. The visual novel that inspired Nasu and Takeuchi to form Type Moon and to actually write and make Tsukihime is coming out in English. The remake for it as well. It's getting a worldwide release. So one, Kagayaku no Kisetsu is coming out in English as well. So you have these like two big pieces of like these keystone works in I guess modern year 2000 and onward anime coming over into English for the very first time. It's so crazy. The visual novel that inspired Nasu to write Tsukihime and publish it is coming out in English, and Tsukihime Remake itself is also coming out in English, and it's such a good time, such an exciting time to be a visual novel fan. So I've been reading visual novels for about more than 10 years now, and you know, even before that I was aware about the community, and you know, I saw things happening online, and wow, it's so crazy how much things have changed and how this is just so official now. And I don't really have the words for this. I wrote an outline and stuff, but I'm getting really sidetracked because I'm just it's like I'm just happy. I'm content. When the news was when it breached Twitter, when it breached AX containment, and someone posted a picture, a blurry picture of Tsukihime Remake English announcement. I literally texted someone. I was like, I'm not even screaming. I just started levitating from the sheer peace that I obtained from this announcement. So happy. Man. But yeah, I hope that talking about this stuff kind of gives you a bit of an understanding of kind of where we were over here in the West in terms of like visual novels, and like where we're at now, where they announced Tsukihime at the freaking FGO panel at AX, and which is it's obvious, of course they're gonna announce it at the FGO panel, but it's also such a good promotion for Tsukihime. Like, you talk to players who already have an attachment to Type Moon characters, and many of whom haven't played a dedicated visual novel, but have been exposed to like kind of kinetic novel storytelling through the Lost Belt and FGO events. I know that FGO has choices, but I don't think they influence the story at all, right? Like, I don't think they change too much aside from like a couple lines of dialogue. It's not like a visual novel choice, right? But anyways, point is, you expose these FGO players to the new hotness, the top of the line visual novel, and they're kind of primed to buy it, right? They're like, oh, I really want another Lost Belt, so I might as well play Tsukihime, and I've seen this girl with long hair in the game, or whatever, right? So I hope it receives a lot of support, but it's so crazy to see something that that 50 years ago wasn't on like 90% of anime fans' radar, and now it's at AX and it's trending on Twitter. It's trending on Twitter. It gets thousands of retweets. It's just crazy. It's awesome. I love it. I'm so happy. If you guys are interested, I'd love to talk more about like these old anime media fan things. I have like a whole timeline written down about the release of the Tsukihime fan translation patch, and I just find this stuff interesting. Like, I love hearing about this from other people, so would you guys like hearing more about it? I grew up on these sites. Like, I went on Beast Lair, I followed Mirror Moon's progress, I would like search around their site back in the day, and I guess still now because I've been going through it, but you know, I followed them through their Fate Stay Night translation, or yeah, I did, and the Fuwa novel forums, and of course, you know, I thought the internet was forever, and now I have to look at all these sites that I used to visit so frequently through the Wayback Machine. Through the Wayback Machine. And yeah, I would love to share with people so that it can keep living. These memories can keep going forever. I don't know. You know, sounds kind of sad, but it's fun to reminisce, I think. And maybe it will make people curious and stuff like that. So I don't know. Let me know if you're interested. In other news, we have a couple of game announcements. I spent a long time talking about Tsukihime, so I'll go over them pretty quickly. But I am super excited for the new Love Live spin-off game, Yohane the Parhelion. Is that how you say it? Blaze in the Deep Blue. Yohane the Blaze in the Deep Blue. That's what it's called. It's a 2D Metroidvania game based on the anime of the same name. I actually had no idea that Yohane was getting a spin-off anime, so I learned about the anime through the game. I'm not sure if they announced it anywhere else. But it's really cool. I played so much Love Live School Idol Festival when I was in high school. Oh my gosh. I also love Yohane, so I'm really happy to see her getting some love. She's great. Oh, I saw that it has a crafting system, and I love crafting and gathering. So, you know, I'm a hunter-gatherer at heart, and I'm super excited for that. So I'll definitely be trying it out when it comes out. And coming out soon is Atelier Marie. I am so excited for this game. It's the very first Atelier game in English. Not just that, it's a remake, and it has an English version of the original game. as well if you buy the digital deluxe edition. So that's super exciting. I want to make a whole video talking about Atelier Marie. I'm super excited to play it. I love the art style of RPGs from this era. It came out, what, 1998, the original one. Like also the old Ys games have this look, Princess Maker, etc. I love this look of like this, just how they depicted these medieval, kind of medieval looking anime games. You know, I feel like Trails in the Sky has the same look, even though it came out kind of late compared to like early Ys and Princess Maker and even Atelier Marie and stuff. So yeah, I love it. I will be playing both. The remake looks lovely. It looks so cute. And they're adding a bunch of quality of life stuff. But I also want to play the original because I am a classic gamer. And again, I love the art style, so I would not miss it for the world. My favorite fun fact about Atelier Marie is that it had a virus, right? Or not. I say that it's like all the Atelier Marie versions had a virus. No, a very specific version had a virus. So I would love to talk about that. I think it's always been like a super interesting game fact for me. I think a lot of people know about it, but yeah, I would love to talk about that in detail in the future. And also, in other game news, RainCode came out and I've been playing it. I really like it. I am still in the very beginning. I finished the tutorial case, but it was pretty long. I just finished, I finished chapter 0. Yeah, I just finished chapter 0. And I really like it. I have a couple reservations, but so far it's pretty fun. I need to play more of it to say more than that. But if you do like adventure games, it is an adventure game. I know, of course, it's made by the Danganronpa people, but and it does play like Danganronpa, like it has a lot of similarities, but honestly I would say it's more like Ace Attorney than like original Danganronpa. Of course, again, it's made by the Danganronpa people. It has a lot of similarities, but it does remind me a lot of like the adventure game stuff that Ace Attorney has, which I am not sure is in Danganronpa in the same way that it's in the RainCode. But yeah, super excited to play more of it. Story of Seasons, It's a Wonder... Gosh, I can't speak today. Story of Seasons, It's a Wonderful Life also came out. And that's super exciting. I do want to play it. It's a classic, so I don't know if I need to say... Oh my gosh. I can't speak today. It's a classic, so I don't think I need to say much more about it, but it's super cool. And a game you may not have heard about, Pretty Princess Magical Garden Island. I did not know that this game was coming out in English. I learned it very recently, but I was super excited for the Japanese release. I was planning on getting it in Japanese. If you don't know, the first game is a lot like Happy Home Designer, the DS spin-off of Animal Crossing, or 3DS I should say. And but it has like a princess theme, and you help little bunny rabbits decorate their homes. It's so lovely, and this is a sequel and it has farming in it, so I'm very curious about that. Super excited. So if you like those type of games, check it out. And I think that's all I have for news aside from Tsukihime. This entire podcast got super derailed thanks to Tsukihime. So sorry about that. I will be talking about Granblue Fantasy versus Rising in a separate video, because originally this podcast was going to be all about that game, and I could not stop thinking about Tsukihime. So it is not. But I'm also very excited for that. I will talk about it in another video. So yeah, thank you everyone for listening this long. That's all I have for today. Wow, I felt like I talked so much. Wow. Thank you for stopping by the garden, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to meet up for tea again in the future. And hit the notification bell to make sure that you're always on time. I will see you all very soon. Goodbye!